the dance club or whatever we do. 1901 it is now. So welcome, good evening to everybody, members of the public, councillors, to the planning meeting Tuesday the 1st of May 2018. It is now 7:01. So to receive apologies for absence, have we received any apologies please?
Councillor Lucas.
Councillor Lucas.
Other commitment.
Other commitments. Councillor Lucas has offered that she can't make it because she has other commitments. So proposal to accept apologies, proposed by Paul, seconded by you. Adam. All those in favour? 2. All those against? 3. So the apology is not accepted.
Okay.
For Councillor Lucas. If you can you minute the name? I will have my name minuted, please. Paul, did you want your name minuting?
Yeah, why not? I don't know.
We're not going to minute anybody else's name. We'll just. She can do the math, but she will anyway.
Oh my God!
No, minute my name,
So,
please.
well, she can sit on the video, man.
No, the video's not working. I forgot to put the memory card in.
Oh right, never mind.
Is there something? Do you know if you noticed? I've not been successful in being able to record a single planning meeting.
Yeah, well, the only things that go well as well.
I know.
Right, declarations of interest. Members are asked to declare. The book is around and about. So, if you've got any disclosable, pecuniary, or any other interest, has anybody got any disclosable? No. Signing book is there.
Sorry.
Yeah, and also do you want to pass it to Paul as well, please? Sorry. So there's no interest been declared. Right, item 3 is confirm the minutes of the meeting of the planning committee held on Thursday the 12th. Anybody got a copy of these, I trust? Yeah. Any comments or observations? Otherwise I'm looking for somebody to propose to accept them. All proposed by Anne, seconded by Nick, I believe. All those in favour? Everyone
Did you
was
say
here.
Paul?
So,
sorry, Chairman, to interrupt.
Yeah, go on.
Paul wasn't
Paul
here.
wasn't here, Paul, so you'll have to abstain.
Oh, and I wasn't here.
And Martin wasn't here, so you'll have to abstain. So it was. We got the proposal accepted. So it's 3 in favour and 2 abstentions. Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant.
Joyce wasn't at that one,
You just sign them off, Adam.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just.
Seems to be a problem with it's not coming up for some reason.
Oh, no, is it? Oh dear. Well, they're all quite straightforward except for 2.
I have
or
got
3.
hard copies.
Right, okay, let's see how we get on, shall we? So planning. Deputation by the public. There's no members of the public here. If any members do turn up, I will allow them to speak at the point they turn up, though. If everybody's okay with that. Now, item 5 is to consider the following applications received and make any recommendations or comments. Back to Rutland County Council.
Right, I do apologise. I don't know why.
Seems to be having.
Problems with all our systems at the minute.
Oh dear. Yeah. I didn't really want to go into the.
I've got some hard copies here.
A bit.
So. And these are all
Right. Well, the first one is it's proposed conversion of a garage to a bedroom. This is number 42 Lonsdale Way. I wasn't. Has anybody viewed this online?
Has anybody not seen the?
I haven't seen it.
No, I don't think I have.
It's. Have you looked at this, Nick, by any chance?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this?
I don't know what the rules about the that change of use.
What, turning the living room into a garage?
Yeah, but
and this is the bit where I felt a little bit uncomfortable really because well in actual fact what it is, what I can do in actual fact is I took a Google picture of
That's the first time I've seen turning a lounge into a garage. Quite often you get garages turned into a lounge and they get sometimes turned.
Basically, the picture on the screen at the moment is a picture of the style of house that could be affected. So this is on Lonsdale Way. In actual fact, I believe the house on the left, the one with the yellow garage door, is a. Oh, I've got my mouse over. is the yellow garage door is the property in question, 42, I believe. Now what it is that this part of the building here, this room, the garage, they want to close that off. They want to put like a pitched roof on it, you know, roof coming up here with tiles, make it look a little bit better. And this is going to be turned into a downstairs bedroom, and they're on about doing some extensive work out of that. And then they want to put a garage here in the living room. So they want to put a garage door here, so then they park their car in the living room. Now, this doesn't sound too unreasonable, does it? I guess.
Yeah.
See that, 'cause I can't see on that.
See, that's why they want to do it, you know.
It's bonkers.
Well,
Unless they want to turn it all into a big one open
I'm not even
plan.
there, but
Yeah,
it's
it's-
on our website.
It's not being recorded, is it?
Yeah, Alison does.
Alice, I retract that word. It doesn't seem logical.
right, well, what I looked at, I looked at planning considerations, right, on relation to this, and I was thinking that even though that there is no objections on the internet, right, and even though there's no loss of view, I was trying to look at this, and right, overshadowing stroke loss of outlook to the detriment of residential amenity, though not less loss of view as such. So in actual fact, when you're if you imagine now, we go back to the
This one here,
we go back to the house. If you can imagine that these people, that all these houses look the same, and I'm just a bit concerned that if you take the garage door and put it there, it's not going to be in keeping with the rest of the properties down there. So I feel that in actual fact, there is an element where in actual fact it may impact on what is, you know, that ruling that I just mentioned.
My concern would be to that is, I don't know how the regulations work for building regulations, but that's a huge fire consideration to have a garage.
Right,
Put in an existing property. If you have a property that has a garage built into it from new, they put in some.
Yeah, they put in
Right.
south, yeah, right. And so, but obviously if they were doing the building work, they would do all that. But the other bit that I looked at when you looked at the material planning considerations, and it goes on to say that noise or disturbance resulting from use, including proposed hours of operation, smells and fumes. So if you're putting a garage, in effect, what is next to your next door neighbour's living room wall,
With windows.
well, there's no windows between the two.
No, but there is.
There's windows on the outside of the neighbour's house. So my concern was that even though the neighbours haven't made a complaint, I just feel that it impacts how the other houses would look. It's out of character with the style and build of the other houses, and based on those material reasons I've stated there, that it's not in keeping with the rest of the look. It could have an impact
How are
on
they
the.
going to get to it anyway? Because
Well, they'd be putting a new driveway in and a new drop curb.
They could park their car on the driveway.
They're going to have the front
outside,
porch
that's
and
more
driveway
likely.
alterations and
Yes.
associated work. I mean, it's going to look completely different. Can I
Yes.
say something?
They didn't make it clear.
Right.
Which is why.
I would say, why are they making the garage into a bedroom and then, the garage into a lounge? Why not just make that
They're not
lounge?
making the garage into a lounge. They're
A
making the
bedroom.
garage into a third bedroom.
Yes.
So it'll always be a 3-bedroom house. And I think they're doing some extensive work upstairs, which just puts in additional en suites.
Yeah,
But why
I had
can't,
that concern you did, which is why I didn't know if there was
the
some
noise
change
for
of use.
neighbours.
Yeah.
because
So-
I don't believe that people, well, maybe they will, but people don't use their garages for cars, and then there is that thing that they might use it for DIY or all sorts of things, and then that is a disturbance to next door.
Yeah.
and that is a
And-
window there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just think I'm trying to be careful with the words I use, it's quite different. But look at the size of the lounge. I know this is not to scale, but if you ever wanted to resell that, I think.
Well, they're going to, and what it is, the lounge is going to go out the back of the building on a.
Well, it's a
uh,
kitchen, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's actually
looks
it's lounge,
tiny.
diner, kitchen. Basically it's open plan living out back. So the whole building, from a perspective of how the design is, I just find it a little bit.
Sorry, where's this lounge? Sorry, I can't see this.
There's the lounge, it's so
So
small.
how did, that's at the side?
And
or
you
is it-
compare it to the size of the bedroom.
So
is
if you
that's
want to
like
capture it, Alison, in your
that's the
notes.
Yeah, but this is a side.
A concern raised about noise or disturbance resulting from use, including the proposed hours of operation, smells and fumes, and also overshadowing stroke loss of outlook to the detriment of residential amenity are concerns that we are I'm raising.
Could we ask them also
So that's allowed.
what their rationale is for doing this? Their reasons
Well,
knocking around.
Detriment of residential amenity. So even though that's not loss of view, in other words, we're not cutting down the view of their neighbours, it's giving the
So where's the line?
the detriment here. If you think you've got a big drive here in a garage door, I don't know what, I mean, we could ask what the reason is, but I mean, all they seem to be doing is putting a bedroom downstairs,
Yeah, can't.
having 2 bedrooms upstairs with en suites, and then a large lounge out the back. And maybe they're putting a bedroom downstairs because maybe there's a mobility issue, but then the bedroom could be going into the lounge.
And I think
Yes.
it would affect the sale price of the house next door. I mean, I wouldn't like.
Yes, strictly speaking, I don't think, unfortunately, sales prices is not strictly a planning consideration, although it could be classed as
The
a...
look of a place.
I'm not sure why they even want to go to all that.
Have they not, can
Swapping
they just not
over.
put a thing in?
I wouldn't want my garage next to my
I
lounge.
mean, why can't they just keep the existing garage and build the new bedroom in the lounge?
That's what I think.
Yeah,
Because
and
I have no issue with this extension.
Yeah.
And it's not,
So at the moment, from the chair, I'm proposing that it's rejected based on what I've mentioned there on the material planning. Yeah, yeah, is everybody
No.
happy with that?
well, just going to
Yeah.
say that they don't say what these other alterations and associated works are, so it's not good enough.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
They're showing 3 parts.
Yeah, anyway, we've captured on the material planning, so proposed by Lowe, seconded by Nick. All those in favour to reject?
Yeah, it's going to have 3
That's
cars.
unanimous.
It's going to have 3 cars parked in front of the house.
I think that's for illustration purposes that you could have 3 cars parked on the front. Perhaps it's turning into a garage. Perhaps it's going to become the new
Sale room.
foyer for Remokum. Anyway, okay, well, so we've done the first one. Well, yeah, that was easy, wasn't it?
Oh,
I
that's
don't
all
know
we
why
said.
they want to do that.
Still a
Who
problem.
knows?
I'm just restarting the computer, so I might have to do the second one with.
Yeah, get that when you're going to do an alteration. Oh, God, what's that one back?
So, Oakham TC, is that the town council? That's not where we live at the minute.
Well, you can connect to my 4G if you want. Just share it, and then never release frequency. I didn't bring my cables though, so.
You're not?
No, because
That's quite a password.
it's normally been quite
See if
efficient.
it works.
So, no. Hang on, I'll share my hotspot.
Hit return. If it works, it works. Yeah, I'll sleep better. Well,
Saying you're not connected.
no, I think there's just issues overall with that network anyway.
We try
You
once more.
see that Android at AP,
We try once more.
and then you,
Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. HQP Android.
yeah, and then you can password. that one.
Mine's just now restarting.
Nice. What's your password? Is that it, is it?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just going to reconnect it. So, we'll go on to the next one anyway. The next one is pretty straightforward. This is planning application 20327 LBA, Tim Norton. This is the building off, in fact we could probably wander down there and look at this now. 29 High Street, which is just off
Right,
here.
shop.
It's, I
It's a
believe,
nice shoe shop.
Yes.
There's some pictures here. Have you got that?
no, I'm not going to. Oh, I know.
I just think we should move that one.
It is that one, isn't it?
Mm.
I have no problem with that, because it's just protecting the whole building.
And the slate.
We still just restoration, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
there-
there we go. Oh,
there
there we
is
go. I'm in.
slates, but,
I managed to get in. I've got in on something.
Right, here's the, okay, so you're in, so I was going to say, here's the pictures otherwise. Mine's still going around on a pink screen.
Oh,
Yeah, we've got something here. Right.
Okay.
2018 /0327 /LBA. Actually, looking at the images on the. I'll go straight to the plans and responses. Basically, the application is to replace the tiles on the building at the rear. And the reason for this is that apparently this is a picture of it. is that these are slate. This is meant to be Welsh slate. Rutland County Council are very strict that slate is replaced with the appropriate slate, so you can't use Chinese slate or Indian slate. It has to be Welsh slate. What it is, in the document, Tim has put, and I believe this is very accurate, that previously the people that owned the building, to make the slates watertight, they covered them in Hessian and then painted Hessian with bitumen. And Hessian is now rotted away, the bitumen is broken away, and not only is it caused the tiles to slip and expose the old holes, but it's also meant the tiles that are there cannot be used again. So he's having to buy some recycled or recovered, whatever you want to call it, Welsh slate, and all he's going to do is replace the old knackered slate with new slate, and that's it.
And then install a breathable membrane.
And he's going to put a breathable membrane on, which is the way forward, because a lot of them have got bitumen membrane underneath. So he's going to put a breathable one on, which is going to be better for the building.
I propose that we...
Any questions or observations? And propose that it's accepted. Seconded by Martin. All those in favour? That's unanimous then. Right, so the next one is... Bing bong. This is the proposal is for the removal of a garage and construction of a new single-storey rear extension.
There's no name.
Yes, it's the man with no name that's something it does.
Mr. Hines.
Who?
Hines.
Does he live at number 57?
What else then? No, it's Hines, H-A-I-N.
Okay, right, there doesn't appear to be any issues with this one, so appeals and details, or no, plans and responses. Location plan. So this is on Redland Road, isn't it?
Yeah, 13.
That's Redland Road, so it's number 13. Yeah, good point out. Source report is designing something. The existing ground floor and roof plan. I think in actual I struggled to get my head around this one, if I'm honest. I think this shows the roof line here, and this shows a building which is an existing garage there, isn't it? And that shows the driveway. So that's what's existing. Love that, not a problem with that. Existing north and west elevation. So that's the 13th, so that's what we can see at the moment. That's from the front looking at it. Front door there, that's the garage halfway down the drive. And then this is looking from the side. So this, if we were stood over here looking that way, towards the building, that's the gable end, and you'll see there's no windows on that. So that's what it looks like at the minute. So the proposed ground floor. Now we're going to propose north and east elevation first, because that's one we just looked at. Here it comes up. Stressing my. There doesn't appear to be any change initially from the front, but what it is now, we see this building come out here, so it's so there's something there, and then what we see is that from the end we just see like loads of stuff down the side. It looks a bit basic, but there's nothing. That's not a reason to reject it. Site plan and location proposed. See what that does. Right. So there we go. So that's is that 13 there, isn't it? I think. Oh no, that's 13. Beg your pardon. That's 13 there. And as you can see, the garage that was about here, wasn't it? It's now got this sort of odd-shaped looking building, and then this piece at the back.
What's that bit at the bottom then? That triangle bit at the bottom? What's that?
That looks like a tree in a planter to me. Yeah.
But it's got a double line around it, like a brick thing.
Yeah, it's probably a brick planter. Because that's what.
Actually, 1970s.
So that's what he had. You can see that there's very little at the back, and that's the garage, and there's no flower bed with a tree in it. So then when we go to the proposed, you've got this weird, I say it's weird, it's just an unusual shaped rear extension. That's just a flower bed, and that says garden on it. I don't know if there's any other.
Yeah, there's one that shows the roof lights quite nicely.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
The what?
I think it's that one. You can see the.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
So this is what it would look like from the back. So it's
That
got
looks nice.
it's got a slight slopey roof there. It's got this piece here. It's been done to maximise space. I
Why
can't.
they wanted to demolish the garage
I can't
because
understand
they're very big, those garages, and it's got utility room on the end. You could
But
get two cars.
he's got his drive.
Yeah, he's got his drive, so
He
he-
doesn't want a garage and he
No.
wants to use his
Yeah.
space.
It's a house that's not had anything done to it.
And it matches next door if you look at what their
They've
extension.
kept their
Yeah.
garage then.
Yes, they have
But
that,
That's
yes.
entirely up to
Yeah.
him, and he hasn't got that width there to do that.
No.
And,
Well, he would if he did it
and
differently.
if you look
No,
at
but-
the shape of the other houses on that street, it's actually following at the moment. It looks
Yeah.
odd from a aerial view compared to the rest. So I liked it.
Well, in actual fact, more and more, my next door neighbour, when she had her rear extension done, she had brick walls and all the rest of it, but then she had this flat roof with the big roof lights in, and then they had like a polymer plastic coated fiberglass roof on them, and it cuts down on cost and it cuts down on maintenance. But there's no material planning that I can see that we can object on this. There's been no objections by on any of the neighbours.
I don't see a problem with it.
So there's no real issue, and they're putting a concrete plant and a tree in. So if there's no other, proposed by Nick, seconded by Martin, Paul, seconded by Paul. All those in favour? 4. Any against? 1 against. So it's carried. No reason, no material planning, I'm afraid to. I shouldn't be afraid. At the end of the day, we don't want to prevent people from extending their homes. It's been said before that people extend their homes because it's easier than cheaper than moving. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we extended ours.
You've got a shed that's bigger than your house as well.
Yeah. Really. The next one is a single story extension. 0257. Mrs. Lindsay Taylor. This is 81 Welland Way. There was concerns raised by the neighbour on this one,
Yeah,
and I can see I can understand their concern. There's nothing in here, but when you get through to the plans and the responses, they've done all the paperwork, solar panel stuff and all the rest of it. So, which one is this existing? I've just done. Just get rid of that. Oh, right, okay, that's nice, isn't it? Don't know what all that's all about. Existing photograph illustrating the scale of immediate context
Is
of,
that the
of existing buildings to the south.
Is that the right one?
It doesn't look like it, does it?
No, it's not.
It's nowhere near it. I don't know where that come from. Am I looking at the right?
I don't think so.
No, probably not actually.
No.
Let's go back.
Let's see what numbers are.
What's it called? What number is it again? Sorry.
275.
0275
Right,
FUL.
I was just considering something in Martin's.
oh yeah, this was the next one. Yeah, yeah. Let's go back. Let's keep going back.
I have an objection to a dove house.
To what?
A dove house. Because I can't have one. So no one else should have one.
Oh yeah, it's also my dyslexia.
I'd love to have a house that big.
This is better.
Yeah,
Right, sorry about that, guys.
fair enough.
So this, the neighbour on here, because what it is, the person wants to change the frontage so that their car, instead of parking sort of straight on, parks across.
Oh.
But this is an amendment to an initial planning application
Yeah.
got rejected because of car parking.
Right.
And that's where, obviously I wasn't involved in the
No.
previous plan, but I kind of didn't know. And my first look at it was I was not overly comfortable with the idea of how we're supposed to park, based on what we were just saying about.
Yeah. Well, what the resident has said, his concerns are, the first, where are the footings for the extension going to be? The end of the extension seems to be against my property. I do not want my driveway dug up. Well, they can't do that anyway, because the footings can go right next to it. So I understand his concerns, but they can't do his driveway up. Where is the rainwater from the guttering going from the existing extension? Now, if it's the existing extension, which is close to my property and links to the drainage from my house, so as long as there is adequate drainage, then that is a consideration. although I don't think it's a planning thing actually. Anyway, and from looking at the submitted photos regarding the parking arrangement, it appears that the rear of the dark car will be over my driveway. And looking at the photographs, there is nowhere that the dark car can park like that without driving over my driveway. And it is interesting to see existing proposed floor plans and elevations. That'll be one. Right, yeah, so what it is that if this is proposed, the garage seems to have been brought forward with a roller shutter door on it, and they're on about parking the car across here, which is across the front of the garage.
There's a photo, it's quite nice.
The photo, yeah?
Yeah, if you,
Photograph PDF?
Yeah.
Alright, okay, cool.
you can see the neighbour's issue.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good grief.
No.
So if they want to bring that garage out even further and all the rest of it, and do all this work, it's just going to be...
On the pavement.
Go on the pavement.
Yeah, which is illegal anyway.
You can see what I mean, how the garage is not designed for cars.
Yeah, and also, yeah, exactly.
No.
But here you can see where in actual fact the car is slightly just over, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is that the boundary of what we can see to the rear of the car?
Well,
The-
it
I
was
would- well, the
necessarily-
thing is, I'm not sure who's bound. I don't know whose that path belongs to. Whether it belongs to this neighbour or to that neighbour.
They've probably got shared rights.
They might have half, like half and half, might
It'll
they?
be a blue area on the plan.
Where's
That's
a
a nightmare.
existing floor
But
plan?
you probably would have to drive, even if it's a shared path, he's probably like to get that size vehicle in, he's going to drive over.
See, this
He
is
says it's my driveway, so it's his driveway. He said that
It's
in
the
his thing.
neighbour who's.
You see,
Yeah.
this is where it currently is, right there, and where's the picture? He wants to bring it out to the front of the porch. So looking at that photograph then that you had a minute ago, where's that photograph? Just there, isn't it? If he's bringing that garage out in front of
They won't be
there,
able to open the door to get out the car.
So it's not a garage, it's a store, so
Yeah.
if you actually look at the plans, that isn't used as a garage, they converted the garage
Well,
into
I-
a storeroom,
Yeah.
and then unfortunately sacrificing their
But if
neighbours.
he's bringing the
Can I
drive,
say
Their
something?
Yeah.
neighbours this time.
Yeah.
If they're going to put the footings right next to his driveway, they might not touch his driveway, but the actual digging down will undermine his driveway and it could damage his driveway.
then they'd have to have a neighbourly put it right.
yeah, I mean, if they're damaging it, they'll have to do it. But the thing is, the main thing is they're not digging onto his driveway.
But the parking on his driveway, I'm sorry, I just think this is unthought out.
Well, I agree, the only way that he's going to get that car on there is to drive over the neighbour's drive.
I think that it's once again from a planning consideration point of view. Is it in keeping? Is it detrimental to the area? I think it potentially is detrimental because it forces issues with the parking. Where I mean, the fact that the car's parked there now and he's not using his garage and he wants to turn it into a store.
Yeah, well,
Does that mean the house is registered for business and all the rest of it?
I just, as I say, it's referred to this is a resubmission based on previous objection where the car parking had come up. So their answer to it was to put this roller shutter door in, rather
Right.
than the
So are they saying they're going to use it then?
Here we go. This is the proposal is, yes, you're right, Nick, is a resubmission of a previous application refused because of a loss of a parking space. Well, in actual fact, they haven't changed that. In actual fact, if anything, all they're doing, I think they're probably, I'd probably be looking at rejecting that on the same grounds because the extension still loses the car parking space.
Yeah.
How that person parks their vehicle is questionable. The cars aren't designed to be parked like that in the front of these houses.
The thing is, if he's going to build it out to that porch, he's not going to get out of that car anyway.
Unless he parks
Because
on
at the moment
pavement.
the door's opening past the porch, isn't it?
So, PJ Presley, I know the name. Local architect, okay. Anyway, so my thoughts, so in actual fact, I mean, I was a little bit on the fence with this, but the more now I didn't see the photo before, I don't know why. But the more I look at that, and then I look at think of planning consideration in relation to how it will impact the look of the property and the neighbours, and the impact on the neighbours, well, their concerns about footings and parking, and there's going to be disputes where people are driving over people's paths and all sorts.
So you could dispute that thing in case of no loss of residential privacy, because someone driving in your drive is invading your privacy.
Yeah. So at the moment, I think we've captured that there is still a loss of car parking. There is a impact on the visual impact of the area. In other words, it's out of keeping with of the design of the properties. It's turning it into an industrial estate look almost.
And it's impinges.
And impinges on the neighbour's property too much with the parking if it were allowed to go ahead. So based on that and looking at the fact, that based on the previous application, is that grounds enough to refuse?
Yes.
I don't remember.
So proposed to refuse. Who's the proposal by?
I'll propose.
And seconded by Paul. And all those in favour? Unanimous. So it captures all that. Yeah, that's good. Right, V or 5. This is Luke Appleton. This is an extension to a bungalow. All these little babies. Local builder Luke Appleton, isn't he?
That's what everyone should like.
So this is extension to bungalow works, demolition of an existing garage and conserved to replace by new one-storey building incorporating new kitchen utility. 36 Edmonton Way. I've looked at this, and the one thing I noticed for a start was just the sheer volume of land that people had.
Yeah, it's a good use of the land.
Which is Edmonton, is that?
Off Sanford Road.
So there's no appeals. Location block plan, just to give you an idea, is in grey. So that's it there. So the extent of the development, I believe, is all that red stuff.
Good grief.
It's huge.
Did you say he was a builder?
He is building it, yeah. Existing and proposed south-east. Hello. So that's what is existing, and this is what they're proposing. See, we've got these nice, beautiful flat top, multiple doors and windows and all that sort of stuff again, haven't we? It's changing some of the windows as well. We're taking out these old style ones and putting in larger
I
windows.
think it modernises it lovely.
Yes, it's bringing it up to date in that fact, because a lot of these houses are dated down this neck of the woods, aren't they?
They're all
70s.
70s.
Yeah. Yeah, before
They're
they
just
were
being
born.
modernised.
Yeah, and obviously on the old building here, there's a small extension here, as you can see it pulling out there. Once again, he's changed some windows and taken out a door. Yeah. And then proposed ground floor plan. Oh, that's a ground floor plan. Yeah. So when you look at it, it's it's well within the plot. It doesn't impact on any neighbours. There's certainly no overlooking. Brings it up to date, makes it into a modern building. I guess.
Huge, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But bungalows need to be, don't they? Look at that lounge, all that beautiful area there.
It's in my ward.
That one is.
There's
So, any comments, observations from the tables? Anybody want to propose this? Proposed to accept by Nick, seconded by Martin. All those in favour? Unanimous? Unanimous. Now then, 6, 7 and 8 are all associated, aren't they? They're all Springfield Way.
They're all the same.
Yeah, they're all done.
Can I ask a question?
Mm.
On this, it appears that some of these trees are in what's referred to as wasteland on the drawings.
Right.
And Mike, I don't know what the rules are about ownership.
Is it number 7 that's on wasteland?
So they're all the same. They're all the same.
No,
They're all
but-
discussing the same set
Oh, are
of
they?
trees.
'Cause one says 44 and one says 40.
Yeah. So it's like a plot of land behind 3 houses.
Yeah.
So it's not theirs.
Well, it refers to it as wasteland on this hand-drawn diagram, and I didn't understand what that actually meant.
Well,
But
there's various diagrams. I mean,
Oh, for goodness sake, sorry.
so that's garden with a trunk and a crown and a house. It's quite detailed, as you can see. This one here is just crown removal 40% from east and ballast on top of crown thinning.
the middle one is the one with most of the diagram details.
Yeah, oh right, cool. So that one I've just looked at there is, I mean that first one, which is 84, is the crown reduction is never really an issue, is it?
On a horse, it's a horse chestnut tree.
Yeah, but it's only a reduction. It's not taking it out.
There's only one tree to be felled, isn't there?
Yeah, but
There's only one on that one, and then
85.
I think we need to look at this plan before we
Which one is it? That one there?
yeah, there's a.
Ah, there we go. That's
So,
it.
it's this wasteland area that concerned me. The 44 and 40 is obviously their own property, but I don't.
You mean this area?
This thing refers to it as wasteland. So these are their garden boundaries and the trees that they're
Right.
So
referring.
who's doing the work, Adam? Does it say?
No, I couldn't find that.
Because if it's county council could be doing the work on their behalf. Is that
No,
right?
they
It's
refer
on the
to.
form.
Because if they don't own the land, they shouldn't be doing it.
No.
Right.
Well, it's in the garden, it says the first one is.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. They would like to have the trees cared for, but are not allowed. I think this is cared for, but are not allowed by RDC. Is that Rutland District Council? The two large branches growing eastwards towards house number 38, 4042 will eventually cause a lot of damage to these houses, maybe even serious injury to someone in the gardens, but they always put that in. When this happens, and it will, the rest of the tree will be left needing to be felled. How you call this? Preservation, I don't understand, so being critical of the preservation area. There's already an elder sapling growing where these massive branches are growing from. This tree would also need 30% crown.
My comment,
Yeah.
Chairman, unfortunately, is I think we needed our tree specialist
The
opinion.
tree specialist is a
Well,
friend of theirs.
The tree, well, we're not allowed to accept it, but we had this message come through.
She knows them.
I know, but I don't understand the rules and regs on the trees in terms of wasteland.
Yeah, I cannot comment on the tree application from Mr. Laws, not a personal friend, but we have known each other for years, mostly talking about trees. Good, okay, that was useful. So,
So,
I think that we have, well, maybe what it is in actual fact is Rutland County Council have got a tree person. In actual fact, I saw no tree report on here. There's not, is there?
No, they just want the light, I think, which is the whole point.
there is a comment, it says they spoke to a man, I can't remember his name, sorry, failing mine, towards the bottom of this letter who says book request planning, but I would have thought we'd have seen the tree information for it to make sense.
Tree, they're all horse chestnuts,
Yes.
So
So why did you want to talk about some sapling that is a horrible tree anyway, that we want rid of? We don't want to keep that one, we want to keep the horse chestnut tree. It's abominable.
I don't know.
Can I just
I believe it's up to Rutland County Council on this one to go and assess the trees. The trees which are not on their land, they should be going to RCC, Rutland County Council, about and saying, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, and then RCC trace
Can I
the
just
owner.
say that mostly these people want these trees cutting down because it's blocking some of the light from the houses, and
Yeah.
the trees will be there before the houses probably. So I don't. I think it's wrong.
All the people who bought the house where
If we had more details, but I would be on mine to say that we don't give approval for the felling of the tree, that we don't know who owns it.
Yeah,
But
reductions over.
But people can, people can reduce branches which overhang their gardens, providing they return it. But if it's not their land, I can't see how we can approve them to do the work.
Well, they can't have permission from us to go onto
No.
somebody else's land.
They're saying it's wasteland, but that could just be somebody's land that they
But we haven't.
hold and just don't do anything with.
I don't know. I'm mindful. So
It could be just
Yeah,
local
so I don't
rubrics
think I've got
wasteland,
enough
it could
information.
belong to a developer.
So we have concerns about OTC have got, oh, there's actually a sort of RCC document here. That says, right, OTC have got concerns about, first of all, that there appears to be wasteland that isn't owned by the applicant. So that whoever owns those trees should be responsible for managing them. We also noticed that there's no supporting documents from the Rutland County Council's tree warden, so we would need that before we can make an informed decision. And apart from that, it's a case of, I think that the application has been prepared by what I describe as a layman, who...
And I could understand their
Oh, here we go. Dave Brown has seen the trees and suggested that I apply for planning permission again.
Yeah.
It's been rejected once, hasn't it?
Can,
Yeah.
well, I was just going to refer to something back there. Horse chestnut trees do not have a sell-by date. I object to that strongly. Horse chestnut trees do not have a sell-by
Oh,
date.
yes, yeah, right. So I think that we're rejecting it because that we're concerned about that he wants to do work on trees which are not he owns, that are on probably on RCC land or somebody else's, and that those people should be responsible for them. The second thing is that there is no supported documentation from Rutland County Council tree manager, warden, whatever they call him, and because of the depth and the amount of trees involved, we would need that to make a better informed decision. Having seen the information we've had from Councillor Lucas, I find that woefully inadequate and a waste of paper. Don't put that on there because I don't need to know that. And that if the application is resubmitted, specifically, you know, who owns 44, 42, 40? Because we've got 3 different properties being affected here, so but only one applicant. So we can't make a decision on people's properties when we don't know who owns them. Yeah. So I'd want to see a joint application from all the homeowners. It maybe this bloke owns all the houses, I don't know, but it's not clear from this paperwork. But it needs to have horticultural.
Don't ask me to step. I know what you mean.
Horticultural.
Yes, reports. Because we've been given an opinion by the person that lives there and they're biased, I think, because he wants to be moved. So rejection. So rejected was proposed initially by Nick, I would say, seconded by Anne. All those in favour? Unanimous?
Yeah, I think we've got to be cautious.
And there's no other business. We don't do any other business. It's 19:43 and the meeting is concluded.